I'm hearing some very good stuff. I got to stop by this stream, and they technically like announced slash not announced something, I guess, even though there wasn't supposed to be like any announcements associated with this Q&A with the devs. Oh yeah, let's get into it. There's some pretty fascinating stuff that's eventually in here.
Point out to the community what you're looking at.
I'll have to crank the volume.
Okay, so question 1, and I'm gonna call you guys out by name from the Reddit thread. Question 1 from Link Nova: Have you considered a jukebox mode where we can set and listen to music from all the previous Street Fighters?
This is where I came in and I was like, huh? What?
Titles.
過去の SF 作品から聴ける、トラックを聴けるようにする、ジュークボックスの機能は検討されました。
Oh, so there's just a music option in the game, or at least in World Tour.
Yeah, so I think Nakayama-san just showed a menu where you can select the music, where you can kind of create a playlist from using tracks from past Street Fighter titles. And also in the training mode, there's a way to select those tracks as well.
In training mode, there's a way to select tracks. So from their confirmation, jukebox mode exists in World Tour in training mode. No confirmation of it being in like local versus or online versus or whatnot. But the fact that the functionality is there is a very good chance that hopefully at some point it might actually end up in online matches or other things in the future, right? Yeah, that's actually a fairly good sign. Is that similar to KI? No. No, KI's jukebox technically works only in matches.
Hope you guys are excited about that, because a bunch of people asked that question, so I wanted to ask that one first.
That's actually fantastic news. Holy shit. So it isn't, maybe it isn't exactly what we wanted, which is obviously, yeah, let me listen to some Alpha 2 music, bro, when I'm fighting people. But the fact that the audio is in the game, inherently built in, we don't know how you unlock it or anything. We don't know how any of that shit works. But the fact that those things are in there and it works, and you can change it in training mode, you can change it in World Tour mode, means that the functionality exists for it to be available, hopefully down the line if people, you know, request it enough. That's really good. It isn't like, oh, okay, so that'll be coming with Season 6 because we have to build the whole thing to do the thing, you know? We have to build a jukebox mode to do the thing.
Next question from a non-player. What's the ultimate intent of modern controls?
Intent of modern controls. We can't. Their mics are crazy low, so I'm just gonna skip past.
So yeah, the I guess the biggest goal that they wanted to accomplish with modern controls is that they just wanted to get all sorts of players be able to jump right into the game and be comfortable with it. And also, you know, there's certain types of peripherals that usually come with the base hardware. So they wanted a control type that kind of matches, you know, matches like the default like gamepad that you might already have, and just kind of make it applicable to as many users as possible.
Yeah, and this. I mean, obviously, right? This is the. I think the bigger question is what people are going to be asking nowadays. Is modern control too good? is the way modern control technically works, the way it currently works, so disruptive to what is essentially like the meta of the game? And there's a lot of conversations that have been happening lately about that. That, oh, modern controls might make this stuff like really crazy. And some people are calling against it, you know? So I still think it's a bit early for that, right? It's still, the game is actually not out yet. We played a lot of it, but the game is not out yet. But I still feel like if modern controls are going to go through like an overhaul of some kind later on, just give it some time to cook, right? Just let people figure out how crazy broken it might actually be, or not broken before there's, you know, huge calls to action. Take it out of the game, remove it. Right now, all it's doing is making, you know, playing Street Fighter on the official PlayStation 5 controller much easier, right? Because how the fuck are you supposed to use this thing without modern controls? It's a pain in the neck.
Cool. This next question I'm curious about because I played JP. I'm gonna play JP. I'm gonna main him. He's my favorite. What is this from Blue Blue? What was your inspiration for designing JP?
まあ JP というキャラクターを、作ったきっかけであったりインスピレーションとかは格闘技の名前や like a staff. So yeah, I mean, what they wanted, some things that they wanted to accomplish with this character was they wanted to create a character that, you know, that uses a like a staff in their fighting style. And I may be butchering the name of the martial arts style, but there's something called barits that appears in the Sherlock Holmes series.
What the heck?
Okay.
And so that was a big inspiration for this character.
Wait a minute, did you just Shoryuken over the fence?
In, Sherlock Holmes series?
You're supposed to knock this out.
Okay.
He went over it. You just fucked it up. You're supposed to uppercut the sign and the sign goes flying off, but he went right over it.
For this character.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. I love Sherlock Holmes.
Oops.
Yeah. Next question from Garo FGC. This is a fun one. Is there a reason why Luke's forearms are so big?
Okay.
The reason why
Color me curious.
So yeah, they intentionally designed Luke as like a heavy punching character. So that's kind of some of the reason why his forearms are so big. And then also as a kind of like a contrasting point, his rival Jamie is more of a kicking character. So they wanted to kind of make that contrast a little more clear between those two characters. So that was that intention also.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's not as nearly as interesting as you just saying Popeye. Popeye. Popeye? Popeye.
One just loves how cheesy.
Just say
Luke
Popeye.
has become. That's a cool character.
Yeah.
All right, next question from Fringe Spider. And yes, I'm reading off of a paper, everyone. There's a lot of questions, so. Will there be crossplay between PS4 and the other platforms?
PS4?
Yes. They literally told me this like fucking a year ago, dude. I reported it. They said crossplay and rollback netcode for all consoles. Did that change?
I think like.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
I put that in there. 모찌롱.
모찌롱.
I think like 10 people asked that question.
Were people curious about that because the PlayStation 4 version hasn't been technically playable yet? But apparently it's on PS4 and there's barely any input delay and it's working fucking great from the regular demo.
So, yeah, I wanted to make sure for everyone. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
Let's hear it in chat. There we go.
Twitch!
All right, from
What is this thing?
Alucard.
Twitch! Fuck is this thing?
And this is a question that I saw on Twitter, but when can we see JP's cat, Cybele?
JP の子猫ちゃんのシベルにすごい興味を持っているユーザーさんが結構いるみたいです。
Cat?
So yeah, I can't really give you a clear answer right now, but if you play a little more of World Tour, maybe you'll get a chance to meet JP. If you increase the bond with him, maybe
Good
you'll
answer.
learn a little bit more about him. So that may be a way to gather more information about JP. And
Good
all the other
answer.
characters.
Yeah, that's the whole part of World Tour mode is that you're going to meet all these asshole characters and like learn their moves and shit and give them presents. So they'll get all cozy with you and give you your phone number. And then they'll just eventually spoon you, right?
No, you know, if people want to explore. If people want to explore, then they explore. Next question is from Firepower. How long does it take to develop a character from initial idea to a fully balanced character ready to be included in the game?
That's a good question.
まあこの期間って
2 years
2 years from like
That's a good question.
So yeah, it kind of depends on character, but about an average, roughly 2 years from like the initial concept phase to implementation, 2+ years.
Okay.
Yeah.
長いよね。
Nagai.
It's a long
長いね。
Longer than everyone might expect.
まあみんなが思ってる以上に長いみたいかもしれませんね。
That's cool. Well, okay. I don't think that's 2 years of raw development. You in case skip in case I'm missing something. I'm skipping them speaking Japanese, bro. Unless you really want to watch it, go watch it yourself. 1 year of that is probably dedicated to a lot of other stuff, right? 1 year of that is probably not like hard development, right? Where like art assets are being brought online and you're integrating them into all the other stuff. It's like visuals and, you know, concepting, like what is the character? What did they even do? Then the actual moves of the character, that's a different thing completely. And then right at that point, you got to go to motion capture and do all this other wildness shit, and then motion capture cleanup, and then the animators come in and start adding more stuff to the mocap and adding their own animations, right? Which is just the way most characters have been made in most fighting games. I would, and to be completely honest, the DLC characters have likely been decided like a year ago, right? Who's going to be in the game and who's going to be DLC. For all fighting games is figured out way ahead of time because you have to back end the shit out of that stuff to get all the other tools of the game functioning so that, oh yeah, now that things are quicker, these are just going to come online much faster, right? These elements will come online quicker. The only reason that 2 years comes across as like a, like, fuck, is because in the environment that I had been in when characters were coming online, it was definitely much faster, but it was also not to the point where like a Street Fighter 6 character is at that level of detail of like, you know, it was 2 console generations technically later. So just for example, Killer Instinct characters were coming out every 2 months, and it didn't take 2 months to make the character. But that's because Killer Instinct characters didn't take that long. Like, even from early conceptual stuff that I remember seeing, that character was pretty much released within 6 to 8 months. All it really comes across as is like Street Fighter 6 is a completely different game. So that first initial starting roster is going to take a long time. And that makes sense, you know?
I just saw Chuli.
Yeah, World Tour adding complexity. It's a good point.
本当に
I did the same thing.
チュリ怒らせたら
I was like, imposter!
She's scary.
Be an imposter.
Next question.
Okay, from Big Doggy Loggy, who are your mains?
お二人のメインキャラは誰ですか？
僕はマリーザを使うと思います
Marisa? Okay.
僕は DJ
DJ?
使いたいですね。
本当に
うん。
Yeah.
かっこいいよね。
かっこいい、
Marisa for Nagayama-san and DJ for Matsumoto-san. It's a very cool character. Thanks.
Yeah. Who is everyone else's main in chat? From so far from what you guys have seen, we
Don't
wanna
answer
see
that, chat.
who's
This
your
is the
main. Who do you
past.
think your main's gonna be? I think a lot of people are gonna.
No reason to engage.
Nakayama-san, everyone
Stop
wants to play
engaging.
Marisa.
マリーダス大好きだもんね。
大好き
Mina,
みんな誰使いたいの？
Community, yeah.
Ingrid.
Toy
Ingrid.
Beans, in terms of the story, how many years have transpired since Street Fighter V and Street Fighter 3?
まあストーリーのタイムライン的にストリートファイター5から3までの間の、まあ、時間ってどれくらいの、まあ、時間が経過しましたか？
ストリートファイター5って実は結構時系列でいうとすごい長い時間あれを描いていて、実はストリートファイター3の最初の方の話とちょっとかぶってるんですよ。なんでストリートファイター5の最後のストーリーの最後の方は実はストリートファイター3のストーリー
I should have skipped
を
this.
食い込んでるっていう感じになってますね。
重なってる。
そう、うん、
So yeah, actually, out of all the titles within the series, Street Fighter, the
Please don't. Please don't. Please don't. He said, please don't, like 7 times. And of course, the guy that needs content is like, I won't take no for an answer.
like the timeline for Street Fighter 5 is actually significantly long, and actually even part of towards like the end of Street Fighter V actually overlaps a bit with the storyline of 3.
Oh wow.
Oh, weird.
Okay. Okay. So this is just like basically after everything.
With 6?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6
Yes.
is
Yes.
Yeah, there's like, there's no specific ideal passage of time, you know, which makes sense. They probably don't want to lock them into some stupid thing that delegitimizes Alpha 3 or something like that, you know?
what happens after the stories of Street Fighter 3.
Okay. This is a very popular question because everyone loves Marissa. Like nothing else on. From Taj, what was the thought process inspiration for designing Marissa?
まあみんなの大好きな、マリーさんについての質問なんですけれども、
あんまりからクラチオンとかね総合格闘技を使う、キャラクターを作りたかったっていうのがあって、まあ、それでできたキャラクターになりますね。
So one of the big things that they wanted to accomplish with these characters was, you know, they never had that many opportunities to create a large sized female character. So this was an opportunity that they had with Marisa with Street Fighter 6. And then in terms of her fighting style, she has like they utilized a lot of took a lot of inspiration from I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation of this also, but Pancration?
Oh, Pancration. Yeah.
Pancration. Excuse me.
Yeah, I know. It's probably not Pancration, but you know.
Yeah, Pancration and mixture of MMA as well. So they have she has elements of those two fighting styles into her repertoire.
Yeah, I think Marisa is easily like one of the main characters like everybody's looking towards as far as like the new roster in the game. Pancration is an ancient MMA, dope. And it's funny, like everything we saw of her design ahead of time looked kind of weird. It was like, I don't know. Like this is sort of, what the heck is that? What is she, right? And then you finally see her in motion and you see like how she conducts herself. Like, oh my God, dude. She's fucking awesome. Fucking awesome.
Okay. I think everyone's gonna be really interested.
I think the Marisa style, like super buff female character, like we want a character that is going to be in scale comparable to the next biggest dude in the game, which is like Zangief, right? I can only imagine how many ways that can go wrong. You know, I can imagine that going wrong in so many ways, and it not looking good, and it being like weirdly designed, and it's just like, man, and it doesn't look cool, and it's just like, you know, or it looks too like insanely like ladylike, like a Lady D sort of situation. And I don't think Marisa is perfect, but I feel like what they ended up coming with, right? Just imagine like a female Abigail. Just imagine Abigail, but it's a female. And like it comes out like atrocious. Like, oh God, what the heck are we even fucking looking at here, bro? But no, I think she came out really cool looking. And I think comparative to the fact, we get kind of an awesome looking, like super buff juggernaut female character, which Street Fighter's never, not many fighting games have had before. I'm sure some have, but not many have.
Everyone, みんなのコミュニティはマリサが大好き。大好き、大好き。Okay, so next question. When animating characters, how much is motion captured and how much is animated by artists?
まあ
Let's see if I can answer this ahead of time, especially nowadays. In 3D, almost everything is mocapped. I'm going to say that right now. Almost everything is mocapped. There's no reason not to. But it doesn't mean that there's no animation. Most mocap, you have to go in and clean, right? So there's cleaners, and then there's animators that adjust, right? Because you want to push, right? You want to actually, obviously, accentuate things. So I'm just going to presume his answer is that most likely I'd say a lot of the roster is, because even we saw it in games like Monster Hunter, right? Like you got these guys that are literally running around as fucking dinosaurs and shit, and they're mocapped. The monsters in Monster Hunter are fucking mocapped, bro. It's nuts.
キャラクターのモーションを作る際にどれくらいの割合でモーキャップと、実際に手でモーションを作ってますかね。
技とか演出とかに関しては分かりやすくなる
Stages of
全部直してます。なんで全部モーシ
See
ョン
what
キャ
they
プチャー
say.
やってるし、
I'd be really surprised if there was any character that was like raw
So
animated.
actually, in like the early stages of creating the animations, they actually mocap everything as much as they possibly can.
Wow.
and then from
It's
there,
just reference.
then they kind of tweak that and adjust like the speed and like the actual motion itself of all the moves. So
all it's doing, like all mocap is doing, if you have the resource available, if you have like a mocap studio that's going to be helping you out, all it's doing is giving you resources to make the process go faster. Because what takes the longest goddamn time? Animating shit. Animating things frame by frame will take a shit ton of fucking time to do. So if you have something to like work with, and to be honest, I can say this from personal experience after animating 3 short films in college. What is the ultimate frame of reference? It's called a fucking mirror. And when you're animating, you almost need a mirror with you to reference yourself constantly. So it's practically like all animators do the same shit, you know? The stuff that's going to come raw out of your head, you have to have people like record you and stuff just to get reference of how things are animated. It's the same thing with mocap.
So yeah, I mean it's all of every they do it all for both for all moves pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
なんでローリングアタックとかどうやって撮ってんだって思うかもしれないけど本当に撮ってるんですよ撮ってるので
Yeah, to be honest, unless you're like fucking Hayao Miyazaki or some shit, who's just gonna raw dog this whole fucking movie because he's a goddamn genius, majority of things are heavily referenced, right? Life is the best reference when it comes to animation.
本当に撮ってる。
3D の吊り下げたりして
ああ
モーションキャプチャー撮ってるので見たい方はぜひねカプコン受けに来てください
So yeah, even like Blanca's rolling attack, that's done in mocap using like wires and stuff.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so if you want to check it out, come.
Do you want to?
撮ってます、はい
Do you want to do it right now?
今やってくれますか？
ちょっと後で
Oh, yeah. That's crazy. I want to see that in person. Okay, from Alucard Belmont, how long did it take you guys to choose the final roster of 18 characters? Was it a quick process or something that took a while?
まあ18からの
Interesting.
今回のラインナップは早く。
に関しては結構時間がかかりますやっぱかかるのでそこは結構
Long answer too. Interesting.
Yeah, so in terms of like selecting the legacy characters, they already had a pretty good idea of who they wanted to bring back from the past titles, and like they were able to like Matsuo-san's favorite DJ. He really wanted him back in, so that was a pretty easy decision. However, for the new characters, that took a lot more time to kind of figure out, okay, like which countries do we want to represent, what kind of fighting style should the new characters have, and as they touched on before, like the it takes a long time to create these characters, like 2+ years. So for that aspect, it took a lot longer than selecting the ones reappearing from previous titles.
Okay, I'll do photo mode with the mime. I'm gonna post this on Twitter later.
後で投稿してもいいですか？
もちろん
Cute.
From Virgil Angelo, what are some ideas you had during Street Fighter V's development that you were finally able to implement in Street Fighter 6?
Oh, good question.
Street Fighter 5今回
Good question.
なんだろうっていうの
we're seeing make a brand new Street Fighter. It's just
出ます
ゼロからでしたもんね。
そうですね、
yeah. So like pretty much everything that we're seeing in Street Fighter 6 is just features and modes that they really wanted to have in past, fighting game titles, and finally they were able to make a brand new Street Fighter game from scratch, and they were able to essentially accomplish and incorporate everything that they wanted in this game. So
I think people can tell too. I mean, I can tell. You guys put like everything.
Yeah, and some people would be kind of perturbed by the fact that Street Fighter 6 and its development team is the Street Fighter 5 team. Street Fighter 5 turning out the way it was a circumstantial situation of, a lot of Capcom financial problems and all this weird shit. Game being forced to be out to hit investment quotas and shit like that. But SF6 is the same people that made SF5. Like, they have the tenure and they turned the game into something great over time as well. So it's good that, what eventually was a really good game, the end of Street Fighter 5 is a really good game, are the ones to carry that over into, a brand new game like Street Fighter 6. Yeah, exactly. You learn from your mistakes. Anybody with a brain is going to be like, you learn from your mistakes. But if you tell any of the casual audience or anybody that bought Street Fighter V and, you know, obviously felt ripped off, I don't blame you, right? There would be a cause for concern hearing that, oh, the same people that did the next one are the same people that ripped me off. You have to understand their perspective, right? This is where a lot of people got bodied as being Street Fighter fans was the Street Fighter V launch.
いろんな機能とかモードも入ってますので、やりたかったことも結構できた感じしますね。
なんかワールドツアーモードにチャレンジできたのは結構ね、自分たちにとってもいいことだったと、こういうゲームですけど今みたいな。
Yeah, I mean, especially with like World Tour, as you're seeing right now, this was a huge challenge and taking for the team, and this was something that they really wanted to have, and so they're something they're super proud of.
Awesome.
Yeah.
From Killer Wolf, I'd like to hear if there are any interesting stories behind the design process of the brand new characters in Street Fighter 6, and who was the most interesting character to create.
なんか新キャラクターを作る時に何か面白い出来事
Interesting character to create.
自分は警察のキャラクターだったブレイキンと水拳を一緒に。
So yeah, I think the first new character that comes to mind is Jamie. As you can tell, he's like a kind of a drunken boxing fighter character. And the original concept for Jamie was kind of like an older gentleman who might be like a cop from like Hong Kong.
They wanted a Shun-Di type.
Drunken boxing back.
Oh, well, a cop from Hong Kong that does drunken boxing is just Lei. It's just Lei from Tekken, who's just Jackie Chan.
Ground, but then they felt that maybe that wasn't enough, and they wanted to kind of make him maybe a slightly younger, more kind of like hip character, someone who, and you know that's why they incorporate like the breakdancing aspect of him also, and you know it was a process that involved a lot of different designers to come up with Jamie. So yeah, that was kind of inspiring time too, you know, when creating.
Yeah, I think Jamie being the first new character we revealed, everyone got a strong reaction because of how well designed he is and the hair. Everyone loves how gorgeous he is.
まあ彼もルーク以外は初めて紹介した新しいキャラなのですごい印象的だと思いますし、やっぱり髪の毛もすごいゴージャスなところもありましたね。かっこいい。かっこいい。
あとなんかね、モーションで言うとジェイミー、他のキャラクターもそうなんですけど、モーションを担当してる人っていうのは一人じゃなくて、
These co-op fights are
数
cool.
人でね一体のキャラクターを作ることがあるんですけど、すごい水拳の部分をね担当してくれた人はもう超大ベテランのうちのチームでも本当にトップクラスの腕前を持ってるすごい人なんですけど、その人と結構ニューカマーというかね、新しく入った若手の人がセットになってやってくれたんですよ。で、そういうこう水拳のけれんみがあるというか、我々とかね、特に日本人とかアジアの方とかだと結構やっぱジャッキー・チェンとかね、水拳の映画とかを見て育ってるから、
You just said Jackie
その
Chan.
水拳のかっこよさってのはすごくわかるんですけど、若い世代の人ってその映画をやっぱ見てないんですよ。なので水拳のかっこよさがちょっと分かりにくいというかっていうのがあったので、若いスタッフはそうやってちょっとブレイキンの方のかっこいい部分を作って、ベテランが水拳の部分を作ってっていうのでミックスした。最終的に
Who the heck?
そのもう若手じゃないけどね、モーションやってくれた人は作っていくうちにどんどん水拳が好きになって、めちゃめちゃ詳しくなってですね。
Who's this character?
協力した
Final Fight character?
ジェイミーを作っていてくれたっていう思いがあるので、はい、結構そういう意味でもなんていうのかな、思い入れはあるキャラクターですね。
So yeah, besides from just like his appearance, actually, Jamie was the result of the creation of multiple animators. So his drunken boxing animations, and his breakdance animations were actually created by two different people in the team.
Cool.
And the drunken boxing motions were created by kind of like a veteran within the company.
Yeah, why'd they Rule 63 me and put me in the game? I did not get approval on any of that.
And he's obviously a super talented person. And then actually the
fuck?
breakdancing was created by more of a kind of a younger newcomer to Capcom. And people like Nakama-san, Matsumoto-san, they're huge fans of like like Jackie Chan movies.
Kicked in the dick. Dude, some dude that straight looks like he came out of 1991, rolled up and kicked you in the dick.
So they understand like how cool that is, but like some of the younger people, like this new animator, they didn't really fully grasp the concept of drunken boxing. So that's why they kind of like shifted their focus to like the break.
That's not me. That's Rule 63. Wait a minute. What is the Rule 34 of that character? Which rule is this again? I'm confused.
Dancing aspect of his animations, but then gradually that person start to oh, okay, this is what drunken boxing is, and start to learn more about that fighting style. And I mean, they're no longer a newcomer. They're they've been working on this game for quite a while now. They're seasoned now. Yeah. So that was just like a really interesting kind of learning experience for a lot of different people within the team.
ちょっと今
Cool.
気づいたんだけど、めちゃめちゃ進めちゃって、ここから先やるといろいろねプロモーション考えてくれてる人に怒られちゃうんでワールドツアーの進行はここまでにしますけど。
Oh, they went too far. I can already tell. Because this is way past where they allowed us to play the World Tour mode. This is past where we were allowed to play World Tour.
Making some pretty good progress on World Tour. That
He's like flying through it.
Not sure if we're supposed to be showing
I know.
some of this. I think it's past.
ごめんなさい。
I knew it.
影響のないと
He's like, oh shit, I showed a whole cutscene we shouldn't be showing.
Let's not go too far deep end.
Everyone can see a little bit more World Tour.
ごめんな
It's
さいね。
okay. No. You're in charge. You're in charge.
さっきはねエンディングまで頑張ってやろうかって。
At first, I wanted to speed run all the way to the ending of the game,
すいま
but
せん一日じゃ絶対終わんないんで。はい。
it's probably it's not gonna.
Glimpses of the arcade mode's individual characters. Look at more World Tour. Okay, next question. From Bing Bong. I really like the art we've seen from glimpses of the arcade mode's individual character stories. I was wondering who the artist was behind those.
まあすごい
Oh, the panels in story mode and arcade mode.
で
ねデザインやってくれた。
intro. That's done.
あとはルークのオリジナルデザインをやってくれた人とかがオープニングのイラストを描いてくれてますね。はい。
So for like the World Tour opening intro, that's done internally by Capcom staff, from the people who created Marisa and Luke's design.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
で
アーケードモード
そうアーケードモードに関して言うともちろんそのスタッフだったり、まあ、他のキャラクターをデザインしたスタッフなんかのイラストも入ってます。
So for the arcade mode illustrations, it's done by various people. People including internal Capcom staff, some including people who did like the World Tour opening, and also
A lot of outsourcing.
external artists.
Yeah.
They helped collaborate for the
Everything in large-scale game production now is outsourced. It's been that way for a very long time. It was that way for Street Fighter V. It was that way for every single game nowadays has to be outsourced in some way. You can't have all internal devs,
as well, similar to what we did with Street Fighter V.
I like right here. This is one of the Easter eggs.
Easter eggs.
There's a lot of Easter eggs
It must
compared to past Street Fighter. Next question is, what inspired the decision to go with a more realistic art style for this game compared to past Street Fighter entries?
Okay.
まあ本作に関しては、過去作と比べると結構、現実的リアリスティックなアートテイストになっていますけれども、どうしてそういう、判断になったのかっていうのはちょっと知りたいですね。
タッチとかもで、過去グラフィックの感じ。
So actually they tried, they tested out a lot of different types of art styles for 6 before they landed on the current one, and they even started kind of like painting, like oil painting type style for the art, the direction of the art.
Not again.
But ultimately they kind of felt that it was a little too similar to like Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5's art style, so that's kind of why they went in this more realistic style.
That makes a lot of sense because 4 and 5 effectively had very similar art styles. One was like, a weird paint splash thing, and SF4 was an ink splash, and SF5 still has the paint thing, but it's more of a graffiti undertone, right? So art, quote unquote, is always the thing that carries Street Fighter's art styles, and I think everyone's glad they went this route because it looks different. It just needed to visually look different than what was before.
And another thing that they wanted to kind of challenge themselves with was, we have the 8 Street Fighter 2 World Warriors in Street Fighter 6. What would those characters actually look like in this context of this like super hyper realistic style, using modern technology, and that's kind of how they ended up with this general direction.
Street Fighter V's art style is better than 4. You know what? You're not wrong. Some parts look significantly better than 4. And then some parts others. And some other parts they don't, right? So I think Street Fighter 5 and the other thing that helps is that Street Fighter 4's art style hasn't really gotten better over the years. It looks really ugly now by comparison. But Street Fighter 5 had a lot of consistency issues, throughout the whole game, from the early roster to later characters and stuff. It wasn't the most like, oh, everyone looks great situation we kind of have like Street Fighter 6 is currently in, where pretty much everyone looks great. Like every single character, new or old, looks fantastic, right? They completely gorilla-fied Blanca, and he doesn't look fucking atrocious,
Cool. You can see like.
But I agree with you. I think some parts of Street Fighter 5 look amazing. Like, god damn, some characters in Street Fighter 5 are some of the best animated characters I've ever seen in anything. And then some are Cody.
So the World Warriors, they have a more civilian casual style. So
まあ今のそのスト2のキャラクターもすごいなんかナチュラルな感じがすごいしてますので、こうチャレンジ達成できたんじゃないか。
Next question is about music from Zhongli Stan. Who composed? I don't know the correct pronunciation of the stage. I don't speak French.
Manon Stage,
Manon
right?
Stage. Let's say that. Who composed Manon Stage and the Chinatown World Music? And also, how did you find Randy Marks and GRP, who created the Not on the Sidelines?
まあマノンして誰が
作りました。
COM developers.
もちろんね、一部してます。
So in general, all the music for Street Fighter 6, they were composed by internal Capcom developers.
もちろんね、一部
Cool.
外の方にお願いするのももちろんあるんですけども。
そしてそういえばそのテーマ曲のをやっていたそのランディ・マークスと GRP、彼らも外部のコンポーザーだと思いますけれども、彼らはどうやってそのタレントを見つけましたか？
うちのサウンドを担当しているコンポーザーのリーダーの人が、まあ、曲こんな感じがいいってなってちょっとそれに合ったねアーティストさんいないか。
Yeah, Street Fighter 5 is in a really good place right now. It is.
サウンド
まあ
小池さんってなんて言ったの？小池さんが見つけてくれました
サウンドマネージャー
サウンドマネージャーの小池さんが小池さんが見つけてくれました。
Yeah, so they already had kind of like a general idea, like direction for what kind of feel to have for the theme song of Street Fighter 6, and one of the teammates, the sound manager, I guess, that person was able to find someone who fit the general
Thanks, Trax.
Vibe and feel of the theme.
Nice.
Yeah, what is the official theme of Street Fighter 6? Is it Never Backing Down? Right? We have not heard that in the game. It's not in... I didn't hear it in the build that I played, which is near the final build of the game. And... Is it called Not on the Sidelines? Gotcha. And it's not in the demo. So I'm really curious. I'm really curious where that eventually shows up. Maybe it shows up in the credits or something like that?
You guys met them? I met them, Randy Marks and GRP. So fun.
すごいいい人ですよね。
At the Rolling Stone thing.
いやそうそうそう
前の試作で会うことができたのですごいいい人だなと。
Oh, it plays when you hover over the demo. Gotcha. Gotcha. That's cool.
Super fun. Super talented.
Yeah.
So next question from Near Fantasy. How did you decide on the hip-hop theme for Street Fighter 6?
まあ今回のヒップホップテイストはすごい
もともう最初のって感じ
they already had a good understanding that that general kind of music theme meshes very well with the overall Street Fighter universe. So
Yes, it
they
does.
wanted to really enhance that in Street Fighter 6 and kind of utilize it, incorporate a more modern take of hip hop sounds, and then ultimately that kind of got reflected in the general aesthetics and art style as well. And yeah, so that was a decision that was made early on, and they were able to kind of really flesh it out in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how Street Fighter 6 is the most emphasized Street Fighter game on those specific words. Street Fighter, right? What is street fighting? Like, no shit. The only time you actually see any kind of street fighting is at the very beginning of Street Fighter 2's intro, right? Or, you know, maybe one of the later versions, where it's the pan down of the fucking building on the street, and then you see, like, a couple of dudes whooping the shit out of each other, and it's Street Fighter, right? Or, like, the pan up, sorry. Yeah, that's, like, it. That's the only fighting in the street thing you ever fucking see. It's funny how everything about Street Fighter 6 is now forcing that element, right? Everything now is, oh, now there's actual street fighting in the game. What is the main game mode of Street Fighter 6? All about street fighting. I feel like it's one of those awareness things where at some point, like, your franchise just grows and grows and grows and becomes one thing and another thing and another thing, and you kind of forget, like, what the fuck it was. Where did this shit start off at? Where did this even begin? Why is it even called this? You know? Huh. Maybe we should do something about that.
Yeah, I think when this game was first announced, like, oh god, almost over a year ago, everyone immediately, when they saw the hip-hop soundtrack and the hip-hop thing, everyone was like, yes, finally, back to hip-hop.
Yes. That was me. That was me. It's an identity, right? And that's, like I was just saying, this thing has grown and grown and grown. Like, what even is fucking Street Fighter anymore? What even is it, right? It's hard to even give it an identity of it, just its characters. But it's like, yeah, but there's more than that, you know? Style Lab and Beauty Salon. What the hell's in there?
また元に前のヒップホップスタイルに戻ったことはすごいみんな嬉しかったみたいですね。
I think we're all grateful. I'm going to speak for everyone and say we're all grateful. From Geralt from Haishin, don't have any questions, but he wants to know that you guys are the GOATs. Greatest of all times.
まあ質問じゃないんですけれども、2人ともゴートです。最高です。
ありがとうございま
ありがとう
す
ございます
Yeah, if Street Fighter 6 does well, I think it's more important than ever. And I mean, we've been standing the fuck out of Nakayama and Matsumoto-san for a while now, but what these guys have effectively done with Capcom fighting games since like 2020, you know, with the final season of Street Fighter 6 and to where we're at now is actually crazy. And it isn't just the finality of Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 6. It's also the Capcom Fighting Collection, you know? It's also the fact that Capcom as an esport, Capcom Fighting Games and Street Fighter as an esport is now higher regarded than ever with a prize pool that is, you know, significantly life-changing. Like, is going to set up generational fucking wealth for whoever the hell wins Street Fighter this year or 2023, you know? So it's a big deal. Like, a lot has changed in these respects, and it's not just them. A big part of it comes down to the fact that, yeah, these guys are doing a lot. So they deserve credit. They really do.
ありがとうございます。
はい全然普通ですありがとうございます
そうねゴートではない。
はい
From Epic Hunter, which character would you consider was the most challenging to design for Street Fighter 6?
Good question.
You know, I guess this could include from new and legacy characters.
I would have asked, like, if I was privy to this, I would have asked some really shitty question that would have, like, backed them into a corner or something, where it's like, knowing how, you know, knowing where we're going with Street Fighter and it's looking to be quite good, where does your heart go to for other Capcom fighting game genres, right? Other Capcom fighting game franchises? I would have asked them, like, if you can do anything with any other Capcom fighting game franchise, what would it be? You know? And then it'd been like, shut the fuck up. And it'd been like, no, we're not answering that shit. Like, if I asked them that in person and it was recording, they'd look at me and go, no, 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 no. You're a real bastard, aren't you, Maximilian?
6に入っている全キャラの中
Cut the mic off.
どのキャラクターをデザインするのが一番難しかったですか？
難しかったデザイン結構時間がかかったのは新キャラクターでいうとキンバリーですね。
I got hit by a dart in the neck.
なかなかいい忍術を使うねアメリカ人みたいなのもいろいろアイデアでね結構いろいろ出たんですけど、コンセプトは結構サイバー忍者とかねいろんな設定もありました。はい。
Yeah, so out of the new
Cyborg
characters,
Ninja?
I think Kimberly was especially difficult to design. Like the concept was there from like a really early stage, but then just kind of like really kind of fleshing her out was, I don't know. It was hard to land on a specific direction, and they even this concept of like an American ninja.
Because that's kind of what Guy was, right?
They even thought like, what about like a kind of like a cyber ninja?
Oh,
Would that
interesting.
direction would work? But yeah, ultimately ended up with the Kimberly that we have now.
And everyone loves her.
Yep. みんな大好きですね。
旧キャラでいうと、チュンリーはねかなりデザインをいっぱい書かれてて、こうみんな自分の中でこうベストなチュンリーっていうのがその歴代シリーズでもいたり、まあ、チュンリーに対する思いが強い人がやっぱりいっぱいいたんでアイデアはいっぱい出たし、そうですね、こっちのデザインも良かったなっていうのいっぱい。
Oh God, my truck.
From, in terms of like legacy characters, Chun-Li was probably the most difficult, just because so many people love her, and everyone's ideal Chun-Li is slightly different from one another. So like, multiple designers had their own ideas, but it was hard to come to an agreement.
Chun-Li.
彼女はすぐ決まりました。大丈夫。
Yeah, everybody figured out her pretty quick.
All right. From Distribution Fuzzy, will it be possible for our created character to learn the moves and styles of the DLC characters?
まあ
I would assume yes.
発売される
できます。
Of course. Yes, they will.
Thumbs up. Yes.
Easy question. Oh, I love this.
Cool.
Hold on. I'm gonna let this play out. Yeah. Go, go, go. All right. Dumb's most. Okay. Just a few more questions. So, from the Ninjaneer, Street Fighter 6 introduces several new core
Ninjaneer. Hey, congratulations, you're famous.
or gameplay systems, most notably the drive system. When starting designing of a brand new fighting game, what is the thought process that goes into designing new core gameplay systems, and what guiding principle or core idea led to the drive system being fully realized? So basically, how did you design the drive system? Yeah.
まあ今回ドライブシステムという新しいでこのような
V 低能であるとちょっと難しい。どれを使ってどうプレイしてた。はい。
So one aspect of the drive system that they really wanted to accomplish was so with Street Fighter V, we had V triggers and V skills that were relatively easy to execute, right? Just a matter of pressing two buttons at the same time. However, like the attributes and like the abilities that can be performed from there were different and were unique character by character. So at first they thought it was fun to have all these different types of V triggers and V skills available, but maybe that kind of caused some stress and was hard to figure out like which
Makes it harder to learn.
best and like how to use how does this one differ from this V trigger. So with the drive system, they wanted to kind of make it so that it's once again easy to execute, like anyone can do it, but make it universal so that it's relatively similar in terms of like what actually happens when you execute it. So like anyone can do a drive impact, and the outcome is very similar from character to character. So that's something that they wanted to accomplish.
あとね、あとは 最初はドライブイン防御ってなんか押して触って階段をちょっ
Strong attack.
とあります。はい。
So yeah, I mean, certain like the drive impact is pretty easy to tell like what happens. It just performs like a very strong attack that can take a couple hits when you do it, and then with drive parry, that's pretty a simple concept to understand as well. It pretty much
Oh,
just
I see.
parries any sort of attack that gets thrown at that.
And then drive rush is the advanced stuff.
So those concepts are relatively similar, but then they also wanted to try to create like a kind of like a, how do I explain it? Kind of like a process where like a player can first learn like the easy stuff of the drive system, which is like the drive impact.
And that's true because drive impact is like, you know, you use it and cool stuff happens. Cool. Drive parry, you kind of got to figure it out a bit, right? It doesn't immediately come across as the greatest thing ever. It takes a little bit of figuring out. And then like drive cancel / drive rush is technically expert level shit. Where if you're going to be using those things, you need to know when you need to use them and apply them at the right time, or else you're just going to lose all your drive gauge. So that's smart, right? That's actually a really interesting design choice of why does the green stuff do so much shit, right? Why does the green stuff do so much shit? How punishing is parrying when you mess it up? Not at all. Parry can be canceled into block. If you let go of parry and somebody attacks you and you're recovering, you just block. Parry's actually very good.
You press 2 buttons and then a very strong attack gets performed, and then gradually, if they get more used to the game and more used to the system, they can advance to kind of incorporate drive parry, which might be a little more like a complex concept, and then gradually that becomes, okay, now I'm going to incorporate drive rush into my repertoire and really use that to my advantage. So they wanted to kind of like make it like a gradual process,
Yeah.
like having like learning blocks, like building blocks that people can really, I don't know, steps that players can take to kind of advance their battle style.
So that
Yeah, you
everyone
feel
can
that.
have their own journey
It's true.
into
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
how to play the game.
Exactly.
Okay. Next question. From Carnage, what was behind the decision to make Ken a more integral part of Street Fighter 6's story?
今回の6のストーリーにはケンがすごい絡んでいるみたいですけれども、
ストリートファイター6があるんですけど2個かかったっていう感じですね。側面と
ストーリーエレメント、
面をちょっと両方見せたかったなっていうのがあって彼を選びました。
So yeah, you know, obviously you get to learn some story elements through playing World Tour, and we also have a comic book series that we're publishing on our website that tells the stories prior to the events
Crypto
of
Ken.
Street Fighter 6. And those story elements were things that they've been thinking of from like the early concept days. And yeah, with Ken, you know, he's a very popular character that everyone loves, and he's got multiple sides to him. He's, you know, a very cheerful guy, but they also wanted to incorporate kind of like a dramatic storyline to him, to this character that a lot of people are familiar with and love. And yeah, that's kind of how they ended up with him being an integral part in the story.
I think everyone loves him even more now because everyone's nickname for him, Homeless Ken, is here.
まあこれでよりみんなケンが好きになったんじゃないかと思います。すごい印象的なケンだと思いますので。
そん
all
な
the
剣
memes.
のね
マスター
マスターズ財団
Oh, wow. That's cool. I didn't even recognize that. And then from Shock, I've always been interested in extra modes for Street Fighter, so I'm very excited about World Tour and Extreme Battle Mode. What made you guys decide to design World Tour mode?
どういう
のでネットワーク上とかね
Hope he talks about street fighting in this.
対戦相手が言ってるんですけどのがまあユーザーさんの中ではね思って
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, fighting games are great and they're a lot of fun. And as long as you have an opponent to play against, you can play pretty much any title infinitely for the rest of your life. And that's why these guys continue to still play Super Street Fighter 2, Turbo, and Street Fighter 3, even to this day, despite of how old these titles are. And you know, eventually, players get better by having a community that they're part of and learning from one another and communicating with each other. But they just felt that there weren't that many good tools within like fighting games to get better and to improve. So they wanted World Tour to be a fun way for newcomers to gradually get more familiarized with fighting game systems.
Yeah, that's great. Teach people how to play it in your single player mode.
Storyline while actually improving the game.
Cool, and that's exactly what you're doing right now.
In a fun way.
There's all the different ways of teaching people. Is the mini games. There's the drive when they flash the white and everything for punish counter basically. Yeah.
格闘ゲームのシステムとかを学ぶツールとか結構ワールドツアーに組み込まれてますので、すごい楽しみながら格闘ゲームの楽しみ方、遊び方をすごい上達することができるんじゃない。
ごめん、椅子がめっちゃ回るわこれ。くるくるじゃん。ごめんなさい。やめちゃう。
Uncontrollably spinning. And feel comfortable playing a fighting game. So hopefully this will allow players to really learn quickly and to be able to kind of jump in and play against each other.
Yeah, and make crazy characters.
あとはあれです。うまいわけじゃん。まあ作んないと。
But not
と思ったっていうのがありますね。
So yeah, and I mean, obviously there's people out there who love the characters of Street Fighter, but might not be super comfortable playing fighting games, even though they might love like the characters and like the story and the lore of it. So they felt like a strong need to have something for that audience as well. And
smart. The majority of people.
I think we're running low on time, and we promised everyone that we would do.
I need to understand. I mean, it's not that they need to understand. They understand that the majority of people that will buy and play fighting games are not fucking turbo nerds that talk like in a different language. It's very daunting. It's something I've understood for a very long time. Chat, if you know how to read frame data, you're a turbo nerd. Just accept it. It's fine. You can make a goddamn living off of it nowadays.
Unboxing. Yeah, we're running really low on time. I didn't realize how.
Almost home.
Yeah. We gotta get through the unboxing. So we are.
何も伝わってないけどね。
What is this? Oh, the collector's box? Bunch of stickers. Cool.
Ultimate Pass が入ってます
Ultimate Pass contents included.
4 additional characters.
Damn, Matt's English is good.
Costume and colors.
Costume
Okay.
color for the year 1 characters.
Additional
2 new
stage.
stages.
7,700 drive tickets.
Yeah.
Pretty good. That's pretty
で
good.
こっちですか。はい。
You know, shout out to all these like Capcom producers that like, want their games to be international. They learn English, man. They will just do their best to learn English. He's doing pretty good.
はい。
これ
The art book.
これ
これ
後ろ見せても大丈夫。あ、いいか。
いいよ。
はい。これ映ってます。
もうちょっと
どの設定であるとか、ちょっと許可を取ってます。はい。見えてない。
あんま見えてない。
あんまフィギュア作るってなった時に。
That's what I wanted to see.
We got some.
Oh, do they come with their own like little facade?
こうやって。
So we can't
That's
technically
good.
recommend
That's
it,
what that
but,
should be used for. That was cool. That was cool. Somebody said that they like hint at the they hint something at like the future of Capcom fighting games. I didn't hear anything in there. I don't know if anything substantial was said in any way, but still that was a great set of interview.